Now we will discuss how the bacterial cells are classified. Bacterial cells, on the basis of their morphology, that is shape and cellular arrangement of cells, are classified as follows. There are three basic shapes of bacterial cells: coccus, that is spherical cells; bacillus, rod or stick shaped cells; and spiral, that is curved rods or twisted rods, spring like rods. So these are the three morphologies which are visible. Spherical cells are called as cocci. Coccus is singular, cocci is plural. Rod shaped cells are called as bacilli. Bacillus is singular and bacilli is plural. And sometimes the rods, they are twisted or curved rods. They are called as spirals. Different cellular arrangements of spear-shaped bacterial cells or cocci are as follows. Sometimes the cells exist as a pair. This arrangement of cocci is called as Diplococcus arrangement. Example is Diplococcus pneumoniae. Sometimes the cell exists as a chain. This type of arrangement is called as Streptococcus arrangement. And examples of this type of morphology is Streptococcus pneumoniae. Sometimes the cell exists in a group containing 4 cells per group. This arrangement is called as tetrad and the cells are tetracocci. Sometimes the cells, they exist as a group containing 8 cells per group. This is the three-dimensional cube arrangement of cells in which 8 cells are present per cube. Example, Sarcina ventriculi. Sometimes the cell exists in irregular sized clusters. These are 3D clusters containing not fixed cell number. Okay, so staphylococci, it is a bunch of grape-like arrangement. The word staphylo means bunch of, and cocci means berries or grapes. So this arrangement, it represents characteristic arrangement of grapes. The staphylococci appear like the 3D grapes, grape-like arrangement. Staphylococcus aureus, which is the bacterium, it is mainly found on our body and it is a pathogenic microorganism. Different cellular arrangements of rod-shaped bacteria or bacilli. So sometimes bacilli, they exist in pair. Rod-shaped cells in pair, they are called as diplobacilli. Example is Klebsiella pneumoniae. The cells, rod-shaped cells, sometimes they combine together and form long chains or filaments. This type of arrangement is called as streptobacilli. Example is the cells which belong to Bacillus genus. Most of them, they are streptobacilli. Bacillus cereus, Bacillus megaterium, Bacillus subtilis. Sometimes the cells, they contain egg-like dormant structure inside, which is called as endospore. And if endospores are present in the cells, they are called as spore former bacilli or sporulating bacilli. Example is all the species which belong to Bacillus genus, they are mostly spore former. Sometimes the bacilli are flagellated as their surface is covered by flagella, which is a hair-like projection. External hair-like projection, which is a dedicated organ of locomotion. If it is present on the cell, if it is present outside the cell, then the bacilli are called as flagellated bacilli. Example is E. coli or Salmonella. Different cellular arrangements of curved rods or spirals are as follows. Vibrios, comma-shaped or half-curved rods. So the Vibrio cholerae, it is an example of Vibrios genus. The cells, sometimes they are rigid, they are helical, they have multiple twists and turns along their length, and these cells, they also have the hair-like projections, that is flagella, external flagella. These cells, they are called as spirilla. Aquaspirillum serpens, it is an example of spirilla. Sometimes the cells, they are helical, they are spring-like, but they are flexible structure, flexure structures. These cells, they lack the external flagella. Rather, flagella is present inside the cell. Endoflagella or periplasmic flagella. What is periplasm? The gap between cell wall and cell membrane is called as periplasm. And if the cells, if they have the periplasmic flagella, then they are called as spirochetes. Okay, spirochetes and spirilla. The difference is that spirochetes are flexible. They have the endoflagella. The structure is flexible or flexus, but spirilla, the structure is rigid and they have external flagella. Otherwise, both the structures, they are relatively same. So here we have some images. Under normal light microscope, after the simple staining with crystal violet, we see the cells like this. So this first image, it is of staphylococci. The cells, they appear in irregular clusters. This is the photograph in which we can see the chain of cocci, that is streptococcus arrangement. The third image, it is of the streptobacillus arrangement. The fourth image, it is of negative staining or background staining. So here you can see the colorless object, that is the spirochetes, against the dark colored background. This is negative staining. Negative staining of spirochetes, the cells appear just like this. This is the negative staining of some bacilli. So here you can see the streptobacilli, the chain of long bacillus, in which the spores are also present. So here the rods are containing the endospores, and here we have the diplobacillus arrangement. Diplobacilli against the simple staining appear just like this. There are some other morphologies which we see in case of bacterial cells. Sometimes the bacteria, they exist in these characteristic arrangement, which is called a Chinese letter arrangement. The cells overlap over one another, forming the characteristic Chinese letter like arrangement. This arrangement is characteristic property of Corynebacteria. For example, Corynebacterium diphtheri, causative agent of human diphtheria infection. Sometimes the cells, they have the fungal morphology. They are bacterial cells, but they have the lateral branching. They have the lateral branching or hyphal segments. These cells, they are bacteria, but they possess the fungal morphology. Those are called as actinobacteria, actinomycetes. And example of this type of morphology is the cells which belong to Streptomyces genus, or the varieties of Streptomyces. They are actinobacteria.